It was the best of times.
It was the worst of times.
It was the cheesiest of times. Here we are in Dunkirk in the Museum of Modern Cheese.
A long time ago, people didn't know what cheese really was.
It was discovered by a lonely Viking who, in the 12th century, was walking along with a sack full of Ella's milk. At the end of the day, he had an odoriferous mass of gunk, which he promptly ate and proclaimed cheese. Why he proclaimed cheese, no one ever knew. We personally prefer Jimmy. But let's analyze the word cheese.
So first in cheese, first you have ch. And second in cheese, you have ease. Together, you have
Cheese.
ease. Yes, correct. Later on in life, the Viking decided that cheese should be shared and not kept to himself.
Of course, when pillaged from other villages, the women would have to dunk their head into the buttermilk in order to create the head cheese.
Yes, that is correct. The head cheese was kind of like cheese, but it really wasn't cheese at all.
Because it was made with the head and there was bugs and stuff in the girls' hairs at
It
the
was
time.
very nasty, yes.
Yes,
We
it
just
was.
let's leave that
I
forgotten.
would agree.
Yes, yes. So we move on. We move on about 100 years or so. A French Revolution was occurring at the time. The French Revolution, the time where the Queen said,
Let them eat cheese.
and let them eat cheese, they did.
The
For-
cheese revolution then set off what has now become known as the modern cheese age, of which cheese was no longer built or made in Scottish bagpipe farms off the east coast of the Highlands.
That is correct. The cheese was gathered, the curd was gathered and aged and it was cooked and made with pride, and they loved their cheese. They worshipped the cheese, and the French loved their cheese and their wine, and they ate cheese. They did.
Of which came Roquefort cheese, which would have been the first cheese had not the Viking stumbled across it in the beginning.
That's right. Roquefort cheese gets its name for its smell. You say Roquefort, and you say sniff sniff, and you say, I see the relationship. Roquefort cheese has fungi actually in the cheese, and with its smell, it is very potent and aged. People like Roquefort because they're less fortunate to afford the good cheese.
Then suddenly, in 1592, a young Aborigine from the coast of South Africa came up with blue cheese.
But that is another story. Cheese.
Cheese.
Cheese. Boy, what a lovely sound that brings to my ears.
It would be better if it was Jimmy.
I think so. However,
Jimmy was working at Stedman's at the time of the discovery of cheese by the Viking in the 12th century,
That's
and
right.
therefore was not a factor.
quite true indeed.
Thus, this was known as the waste of time theory, and thusly abandoned.
Yes, quite so. Now to carry on. Now, it is not so far in the past, as close as it is in the future, but we talk about Limburger and the Limburger cheese.
The Limburger cheese family has been known since 1936, since the crossing of Charles Limburger across the Atlantic, in which he had a tin of blue cheese which was rather ripe upon landing in France.
Actually, it wasn't blue cheese when he left.
It was too.
It was not.
Are you calling me a liar?
I'm calling you a silly clown.
You bastard.
I never.
I'll have you for that.
You know,
Ah, get back!
oh, I can't hold it against you. After all, he's not heavy.
He's cheesy.
That's right.
The mother of the young Aborigine, told in part 1, was a woman by the name of Buana. Buana wanted to go to war with a rival tribe.
But there were so many rival tribes, they couldn't pick which one to go to war with.
And since they couldn't make enough weapons to fight all the tribes,
They used cheese.
Cheese was very abundant around that time in South Africa, and since the Aborigine boy was the only one who had it, well, why not use it?
Cheese was a very effective weapon. So you see, if you let blue cheese, Roquefort cheese, or the smelly cheese family, any cheese will do, if you let it age, and it becomes so aged that it's aged,
And rancid.
you can catapult it into the other tribe's tribal area, and in the middle of the night, and when they wake up, they're dead.
But this was not the first time cheese was used in a war. In the 15th century, Napoleon kept cheese in his coat as an aphrodisiac.
What a lovely scent it was. The women loved it, his soldiers loved it.
And for such a short man, he got a lot of ass. The British, wondering why Napoleon had so much women around him, decided to defeat him for his cheese.
And so is the demise of Napoleon,
At Waterloo,
but not the demise of cheese. And so the saga continues. A little bit further on in time, Wilhelm von Jack the Treesman. He was a forestman and outdoorsman, and he loved cheese.
and a hell of a nice guy.
Oh yes, definitely. One day, someone said, "We need more trees." He never could hear well, the bugger. He mistaken for, "We need
Cheese.
more cheese."
Yes.
So he went out, gathering so much cheese, so rapid a pace, so carelessly, I'm most shameful to say, that he mixed the cheddar and he mixed the white cheese. And the white cheese and the cheddar made Monterey Jack.
Named after his father, the Canadian.
But that is another story.